A bright and early start for you, Malungelo. Hopefully, this will materialize in us getting a sense of whether or not people will take up the calls to head back to class today. Give us a sense of, I guess, of what some of the long-existent concerns still are, even after weeks, really, of back and forth about this very issue.
That's right, and in fact, over 2 million pupils, those are grade 6 and grade 11 pupils, will be returning to class, as you rightfully said, today, as announced by the Minister of Basic Education, Angie Motshekga. And of course, you know, when this was promulgated in the Government Gazette over a month ago, there was a talk that grade R's would also be returning to class this morning. But the Minister saying yesterday that it's not compulsory for the grade R's to go back to school, saying though that if schools feel that they are ready to welcome grade R's, well, those schools won't be stopped in welcoming the grade R pupils. But we know, though, that several provinces in this country, including KwaZulu-Natal, have already indicated that they won't be ready to receive grade R pupils. But here in Midrand Primary School, this is one of the schools here in Gauteng, where the Basic Education Minister, Angie Motshekga, will actually be visiting it at around 7 o'clock. This school will essentially be welcoming some of those grade R pupils. But also, if you were listening to the Minister yesterday from that press conference, saying that one of the things that they are guarding against is making sure that schools are not the epicenter of this virus, and that's why they are using this phasing approach in welcoming pupils into some of the schools. And already, though, we know that some provinces have indicated, like the Eastern Cape, saying that one of the problems that it will have, is it will be social distancing when more pupils start to arrive in schools. And of course, we're going to be waiting for the Minister of Basic Education to actually tell us how she will sort of like see this reopening, especially of this primary school. Whether will she be satisfied with the welcoming of grade R pupils? But also one of the things that the Minister mentioned yesterday, which I thought was interesting, was that when she said parents that do not feel comfortable for their children to go back to school, those parents can do homeschooling, and for them to do that, they would have to make sure that they register their children to the education department, the provincial offices. It's going to be interesting, though, to see how many parents, in fact, do take up that offer from the education department.
Absolutely. So, Mali, another of the details that emerged yesterday was that the Basic Education Department is hoping to have everyone back at school by the end of August. But, of course, that might be right in time for the peak of infections.
That's right. In fact, that's one of the concerns that's being raised by some people, including teachers' unions. But let me tell you this: one of the things that we've seen since some of the grades return to school, that's grade 8 and grade 12, we have seen that, in fact, this is what the minister has said herself, that in some of the provinces, like the Eastern Cape, for example, we know that there have been about 11 teachers that have already died as a result of COVID-19, and there's about 4 non-teaching staff that have also died, and about 3 pupils that have died. And that has, in fact, raised some concerns. And I suppose that's why the minister was also saying that yesterday, some parents who don't feel comfortable sending their children to school, they can opt for homeschooling. But I'm curious, though, and this is the question I'll perhaps pose to the minister when she arrives here, as to how easy then is the process, how easy is it for the parents to register their children for homeschooling, considering the fact that government is advocating for this if parents are uncomfortable with sending their children to school because of pandemic of COVID-19.
Absolutely. Thanks very much for getting us into the picture so well. Our reporter Malungelo Booi live to us there from just outside Midrand Primary School as the sun begins to rise in Johannesburg.